Just letting your eyes adjust. And let me know if you're able to see anything around you. Do you feel like you're off of the cloud yet?
Yes.
Or if you prefer, you can look down at where your feet would be and let me know first if you see any feet. And if you do, are they human feet? Are they not human feet? And do they have anything on them or not?
I'm still on that island.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about the island.
The shore.
Okay.
Water is like crystal blue. Kind of like a slope type of a thing
Kind of like a
that
what?
separates, like a slope.
Okay.
So it separates where the trees are and where the water is.
And what about you? Do you feel male or do you feel female?
Female
Okay. Young or old? In the middle?
in the middle.
Healthy or unhealthy?
Healthy and pretty fit.
Do you see anything on your feet?
And barefoot.
Okay. And looking at those bare feet, do they look like they've been barefoot a lot and they're dirty, or are they kind of clean, or how would you describe the feet?
They're not clean, but they're not dirty either.
Okay. And what
Like I'm just starting my day.
about, okay. And what about on your body? Do you have any clothing on your body?
I have some clothing on.
Or what does that look like?
Looks like I have some kind of like a shirt on, brown. Can't really see my top.
Okay. You feel like you're carrying anything or have anything in your hands?
No,
Okay. And what about anything on your head?
no,
What about any jewelry or piercings or paintings or tattoos or anything like that?
some bracelets,
Okay.
but they're sharp.
They're what?
Spokes.
Okay. And if you were to take a snapshot of your life right then and there as you stand there, you said you're just getting ready to start your day. How would you describe your life? What adjectives would you use? Happy, depressing, sad, exciting, mundane? What are some adjectives you would use for your life?
Peaceful.
Okay. Anything else?
Hard worker, but content.
What do you feel like you do with the majority of your time during the day?
A lot of foraging for food and supplies.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's go to the place in that life that you call home, whatever that looks like. So going forward to the place that you call home, and let's stand and look at it from the outside. And now that we're standing there looking at it from the outside, I want you to describe it for me. What does it look like?
Where I live,
Yep, where you live in that lifetime.
it's just like not really a hut, but it's pretty nice.
Okay,
It's just,
what does it look like?
well, there's some trees around it, like, and some flowers. I see flowers all around.
What color is the hut?
It's brown and green.
Is it made of like branches or wood, or what's it made out of?
Out of the pieces of wood from the trees.
And how about the roof?
Kind of like straw.
Are there any windows?
No,
Okay. Does the door have a doorway on it, or is it open?
it's it's open.
Okay. How many rooms are inside of it?
It's just one open space.
Oh, okay. So if you go inside, describe the inside for me. Do you have like a little sleeping corner or anything like that? And if so, what does that look like?
We put away this stuff when we wake up, get ready, start the day. So we just put away what we don't need.
And do you cook inside the hut, or does that happen outside?
Inside,
Say it again.
inside.
Okay, so describe for me what it looks like when you cook food. What do you use?
We have these clay pots, and there's a fire pit in the middle of the room. And so that fire keeps going for most of the day. And then when it's time to cook, we just get those pots, feed ourselves.
Ah, and do you eat the things that you said you were foraging for?
But mostly use them to make things like medicine.
And what do you make the medicine out of? What do you use to make it?
From all of the things I gather out of my foraging.
And so while you're there in the hut, does it feel like you have a family and that lives there with you, or do you live there alone?
I live alone.
Even though you live alone, do you feel lonely or not
No,
lonely? I'm sorry?
no.
No. Okay. All right. Let's do this then. Let's leave that scene and let's move forward, whether it be weeks, days, months, years, but let's move forward to an important day. So, a day that you consider to be important or memorable when something is happening. And we've now moved forward to an important day. Tell me what is happening. What do you see?
There's an event going on.
What do you see?
A lot of people, women, men, children, everybody is just preparing. They're preparing for a ceremony.
Any idea what kind of ceremony?
The ceremony is about me.
What else can you tell me about that?
Some kind of like priestess, like uh like I'm being recognized for all of the things I've done, the foraging and the medicines I've created to help people.
And how do you feel? getting ready for this ceremony? Do you feel proud or honored, or how do you feel?
Feel proud, but hesitant
And hesitant for what?
that it's just, I'm not going to live the life I am now. It's not going to be quiet anymore.
Is it because of the notoriety you feel like you won't be able to live a quiet life anymore?
Yeah. So
Are
I
you
just
sorry?
going along with it. Just going along with it.
But it's not really something you want? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't really want to be recognized. It doesn't have to be like this.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's leave that scene and let's move forward to another important day. So, a day that you consider to be important or memorable where something is happening. And we've now moved forward to another important day. Tell me what is happening. What do you see?
Nothing.
When you say nothing, what do you mean? Just
I,
completely blank?
yeah, I don't see anything.
Okay. So, let's go back to where you were getting ready to prepare for that ceremony. Going back to that time, standing there just waiting for the ceremony to begin. And let's go forward just maybe minutes or hours. And then tell me what happens from there. Now that we're there forward, just a little bit in time, what's going on now? The ceremony is either in full swing or just kind of maybe toward the tail end. What's going on?
I'm just kind of sitting there while everybody still celebrates. I feel obligated to be here, so I stay. But I really just want to go back, go home.
Okay. So, do you see yourself being at the end of the ceremony and going home?
Oh, I just feel obligated. I
Okay.
don't want to be here anymore.
Okay.
I just want to leave.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's see if we can move forward a little bit and get unstuck from that feeling of not wanting to be there, and let's get out of that situation. Where is the next memory or situation that you remember in that lifetime? What's the next memory that you have once you're able to get away from that ceremony and that scene?
I'm standing on a cliff, like super high mountain behind where I live.
Okay. And what's going on?
Sitting there while I'm standing, and then I sit and I'm just staring. I'm just staring out the thing. And this is where I'm happy myself.
Is it peaceful there?
It's so beautiful.
And what are the types of things you do or think about while you're there, or contemplate while you're sitting there on that high mountain behind where you live?
I just think about nothing sometimes. Sometimes I just think about God.
Do you ever go out there at night when the stars are out?
I think so.
Are you able to see yourself sitting there under the stars at night? And if so, tell me how that impacts you.
Usually when it's dark, I'll go up there. I'll just lay there and sleep under the stars. It's the only way that I feel closer to God at night.
When you're sleeping under the stars, that's when you feel closer?
Yeah. And during the day, it's more like a longing. But at night, I feel closer to God.
So let's do this. Let's move forward in that lifetime to the time just before you take your last breath. So just moments before you take your last breath, let's move forward to then, however long in the future that may be. And tell me, now that we're there, where are you and what's going on?
I'm back at home. There's a woman there. She's pretty young. And there's a child there, just kind of looking at me. Can't really tell if I'm old. I feel fine. I feel like my body feels young, but I'm tired, really tired.
So does it feel, are you aware of the fact that you're just about to die, or do you not know that?
I know it's coming. I
How do
know
you
it's
feel about
coming.
that?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. And now let's move forward just a moment or two or three until you have already taken your last breath and now your soul has left your body. And you're looking down at the body that you just left and at that whole scene. And as you're looking down, describe for me what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're seeing.
I'm just kind of staring at her,
Staring
and
at
I'm
the body.
sad. Yeah, I'm a little sad to leave her
Uh,
body.
why is that?
Because we both were just one. I felt accomplished. Felt like I accomplished what I wanted to do. But I was ready to go.
So where do you go next? What do you do?
Just kind of float around, really. Not really going anywhere, just kind of there. I'm not ready to go back. Not ready to start another life yet. I need time.
Do you stay around the area where you had been living, or do you
I
stay in
leave.
your hut? I'm sorry?
I leave.
Oh, okay. So where do you go? Do you kind of visit all around the planet, or what do you do?
Now, it looks like I don't go anywhere. I just kind of, I don't want to go anywhere. Like I don't want to go back on where I used to live. I just want to be.
But you do that in, let's just say, the atmosphere of Earth, or do you go someplace else to just be?
I just go somewhere else to just be.
Okay. And so does it feel like that's on Earth, or does it feel like maybe it's above Earth, or where does that feel like you go to just be?
It's above Earth. It's above Earth. There's really nothing that I'm looking at though.
Okay. And you said you just kind of floated there. Is that how you got there?
Yeah, just floated up.
And it doesn't feel like there's anyone pressuring you or rushing you to get to someplace else. You're just allowed to just be there.
Yeah. Plus, I don't want to go back.
Okay. And after you're done being there, for however long that is, tell me, where do you go next? What do you do next?
I don't know. I'm still here.
Oh, okay. You like it there, huh?
I love it here. I can't see myself leaving, but I know I have to go back.
Have to go back where?
Or, or
It's just a knowing that you have, or is there someone telling you that?
it's like I know that I have to go back.
If we look into that further, just examine that a little further, do you have any idea as to how you know? Is it something like I signed up for kindergarten through 12th grade and I just passed fifth grade and now I know I have to go back and do sixth grade? Is it that type of thing that once you sign up for Earth, you have to keep going back for a certain time? Or do you have any idea about that? Or is it something else?
All I know is just I didn't learn all of I didn't learn all of the lessons I was supposed to learn, so I knew I had to go back. I just knew I had to go back. But I know there wasn't a rush to go back.
Got it. Do you have any idea at all how you choose your next lifetime? Do you get to choose? Is it just assigned to you? How do you get to
Honest,
another life?
I just I didn't really pick this one, but I didn't pick my next life. I just kind of wanted to go where I would learn the lesson quicker. So I didn't matter where I went.
So you didn't know if there was going to be a lot of trauma or heartache or difficulty or anything like that. You strictly went based on if you were going to learn the lessons your soul wanted to learn.
Yes.
Okay. So, from that vantage point where you are now, do you remember any hard times or difficult times or any sad emotions or anything? Are those still part of you? Or did you kind of leave those behind when you left Earth from that life that you just had?
I felt in that life I was obligated because I was doing things to benefit others. So sometimes I just went along with things even though I didn't want to. Because it wasn't about me. I'm just trying to share my gift with others by helping them.
So, is there a lesson in that also for you? Did you like sacrifice yourself for others? And is that something you want to come back and learn? Or was there something different you wanted to come back and learn?
Yeah, that was the lesson that I needed to learn.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's leave that scene now. Let's drift away from that life, from that place of just being. We're drifting and floating away from that life and leaving that woman there to continue on her own journey. She will find peace. She will find what she's supposed to find. We're leaving her there to continue on her own journey. Again, she will find peace. She will find what she's supposed to find. We're leaving her there to continue on her own path. And now I want all of the consciousness and personality of Zolilay to once again return to the body and fully integrate back into the body. And may I speak to Zolilay's higher self, please?
Okay.
So I have permission to speak to her higher self.
Yes.
I respect the power of the higher self because I know that it takes care of Zolilay's body and does a very good job of it. And I also know that it has the records of everything that has ever happened to Zolilay in this lifetime and every other lifetime that she's ever lived. So I respect the power of the higher self, and I always ask for permission to speak to it and ask questions. So do I also have permission to ask Zolilay's higher self questions?
Yes.
You chose to bring forward that life of that woman who lived in that hut and did foraging and made medicines and benefited the community for her to see today. Why did you pick that lifetime for her to see?
Because in this life, I've always been worried about being alone. Not, no one would love her. She needs to learn that inner peace is where the love and the happiness is.
So, like that woman found in that lifetime, she found that inner peace and that happiness.
Yes, just by being with herself and connecting. Connecting by foraging, which made her relationship with God that much closer. She didn't need she didn't need another human to fulfill that need, that love from God. herself, loving herself the way that God loves her.
Do we all have that kind of love inside of us that can fulfill us?
Yes.
So, is that an actual previous life that Zolilay lived, or was that an imprint of a life that someone else lived that she grabbed, or was it hers, her past life?
That was her life. That was her past life.
Does Zolilay have any issues in her body on any level that she came here to heal in this lifetime that might be left over from any other lives that she's lived before? And if so, what would that be?
Any imprints? Don't know if I understand.
No, does she have any issues going on in her body on any level, any physical issues or genetic or trapped emotions or anything like that in her body left over from any past life at all that she's ever lived that she wants to heal in this lifetime or resolve in this lifetime?
The only thing that's been very prominent with her is her back.
Oh, okay. And so where
A
is,
lot of back issues,
okay, where is that stemming from?
carrying the burden of others.
Oh, and is that related to this lifetime or other lifetimes or kind of a combination?
A combination. But in this lifetime, she's carried a lot. And so it's gotten worse. So it's just compounded from previous lives.
So, what are you, as her higher self, able to do to help lighten that load or that burden that she carries for other people? Are you able to lift that, I guess, desire in her to carry others' burdens and lighten that load and heal her back as a result? Are you able to do that for her?
Yes.
Could you do that now? Show Zolilay what that looks like and tell us what you're doing as you do it.
So I'm going through her spine, actually in between, pulling. And especially her lower back.
What are you doing in her spine?
Basically, I'm just pulling it out. They look like just long pieces of very thick string that I'm pulling out. And I'm healing it and sealing it with light, light, light. I'm focusing more on her lower back. That's where the burdens are. done.
Thank you for that. When humans in general have back issues, is it a lot of times caused by a feeling of burdens on them? Or could it be different for everyone?
Could be different for everyone, but most of the time that's what it is. And not making peace with the fact that you cannot carry everyone's burden. Not carry that load.
And so, if someone were to not do a hypnosis session like this and want healing for their back as a result of carrying burdens from their life and supporting other people in their burdens, what's something that they could do in order to receive healing?
Setting boundaries, that's always one.
Anything else?
Talking to us.
I'm sorry?
Talking to us, we can help.
Oh, okay. So, talking to their spirit team?
Yes.
And what can their spirit team do to help heal their back and alleviate the pressure of those burdens if they talk to them?
It's as simple as just asking.
Asking for healing?
Yes.
Is that true with anything that's going on with someone's body? It's as simple as asking for healing of their spirit team.
Yes. It is.
Are you able to upgrade Zolilay's frequency now so she can be at the highest frequency possible during the rest of the session that we have together?
Yes.
Could you show her what that looks like and tell us what you're doing as you do it?
Going down her frontal, I'm starting at her third eye. Concentrating the white light. At her throat. Her throat requires more light. Going down.
Thank you for that. She is very curious, as am I, about why she finds feathers all over the place. And for instance, today, just before her and I started talking for this session, in the dryer lint catcher in her dryer when she was doing laundry, she went to clean it out, and the only thing in there was a big white feather. There wasn't even any lint in there. Who's sending her these random feathers? She has a whole bag she's collected. And what do they mean, if anything?
Those are her guides. She's been talking to them for a long time now, ever since she discovered that they exist. She's always asking for signs.
So are they trying,
So
I'm sorry, are they trying to tell her anything specifically or just, hey, we're here?
nothing specific. Just letting her know that they're there. And they're proud of her.
So what do they feel about her doing this hypnosis session today? How do her guides feel about that?
They're happy she's doing it. She's
Why?
been she's been searching for answers for so long on who she is and what she is. They're just glad that she's made it this far in her journey.
Do they have any messages they want to share with her right now, or of anything maybe they've been trying to get across to her, or any guidance they can give her right now?
We're always with her. It's all about timing.
What do you mean?
Timing of
Sorry, go ahead.
timing of timing of her gifts. That's one of the big things that she's always been asking about, her gifts. So they're saying that she needs to keep writing. Creative expression, art, dancing, automatic writing. She needs to get in touch with herself, center herself.
Anything else? Is there anything else they want to see from her?
No, she's exactly where she needs to be right now.
So does that mean everything is perfect right now?
Yes.
And I have a question about automatic writing, because some people are afraid of automatic writing when they sit down and say, "Hey, spirit team, speak through me as I write this," because they're afraid they could have influence maybe from some dark entities. So, what can you tell us about that, just in general, with regard to automatic writing, and how or what we could or should do to protect ourselves when we do something like that?
As simple as a prayer before you start. Ask for protection. God, let, let God know exactly what you're doing. It's as simple as a white light covering you to keep the energies that are not supposed to be there away. Then you talk to your guides and you let them know what your intention is.
Why does Zolilay have so few memories of her childhood?
It wasn't really there.
What do you mean by that?
It wasn't really her soul.
Okay, what can you tell us about that? What soul was it? And did she come in later? Was she a walk-in soul? Or how did that work?
The soul that was there before she came in had a very powerful energy. That was too much for her family to handle. They didn't know how to handle it. To protect her body, we had to switch her out, to switch it out.
So was this exchange of souls into her body that was by agreement between the two souls, or how did that work?
No, the original soul was supposed to be there. And it was realized that it would have been too much. Probably wouldn't have survived. The souls had to be switched.
Who made the decision to switch the souls?
Source.
Ah, so the other soul had no choice. And did Zolilay have a choice?
No, did not have a choice.
So approximately what age was the physical body when this switch came and took place?
7.
Okay. So whenever there's a walk-in experience like this or a switching out of souls, is it usually not obvious to the other family members around and they just think, oh, she's changed or she's changing, but they don't really give a second thought to it? Or sometimes is it really obvious?
For times that it's really obvious. In this instance, they were too consumed with themselves to even notice.
And when did this happen? When the body was sleeping, or did the body have an accident and it happened, or when did that happen?
Happened while she was asleep. But she knew it was happening. She knew it was happening, but there was no way to really prepare for it. It had to happen immediately.
So I guess this next question that she wanted to know is kind of irrelevant then if she didn't have any choice in coming down into this life and this body. But her next question was, why did she choose the mom she did? But did she choose the mom she did that she has?
No,
But what lessons or experiences is she learning positively as a result of having the mom that she does?
being aware of self, being more open-minded, learning not to be so judgmental or assuming.
Has she had past life experiences with this soul that is now her mother, or was this a first time?
This was the first time.
Okay. Does Zolilay have any trapped emotions of rejection?
Yes.
Are you able to pull those trapped emotions of rejection by the root? And would it benefit her instead to have you download Creator's definition of total acceptance and love into her?
Yes.
Could you do that for her and show her what it looks like and tell us what you're doing?
Okay. There's a lot of blockage here in her heart, which is connected to a part of her brain. I'm unclogging it. A lot on her heart. It's done.
And were you able to download Creator's definition of total acceptance into her?
Yes.
Thank you for that. Does her son have any trapped emotions of abandonment in him from what happened with her having to go into rehab and leave him? And if so, are you able to work on his higher self to pull those emotions from him and replace them with Creator's definition of security and safety?
Yes.
Could you do that, please, for him and tell us what you're doing as you do it?
Okay. His higher self is doing it.
Oh, okay.
Higher self is allowing both hearts to beat simultaneously together. It is done.
So, as his mother, can she ask and talk to his higher self and ask for different healings and things like this for him? And then his higher self will determine yes or no if it wants to do it and if it's in his best interest.
Yes.
And so, at what age would she no longer be able to do anything like this? Will he ever reach a certain age where he takes that responsibility on himself and his higher self will no longer listen to her requests? Or does there never come a day like that since she's his mother?
He already speaks to his higher self. But she can speak, she can ask questions. and ask for downloads and healing, but it won't always be honored. That is a journey that he must go, his own.
So, with regard to, let's say he's an adult son, is she able to ask for that and then his higher self will determine based on his free will if it wants to do that?
Yes,
Or yes, and would it be out of place for her to do that, being his mother and he's an adult? Would that be out of place or is it still acceptable?
it would be out of place.
Oh, okay.
It is his journey.
So is there a particular age where it is kind of considered okay or acceptable for a parent to do that? Like maybe until the child's like 9 or 10 or 12, or is there such an age?
It's usually around 10 or 11.
Okay. Just want to give her an idea how many years she can ask for all this goodness for him. So, due to the fact that they live with Zolilay's mother and she handles emotions differently than her and her son do, are you able to put a bubble of light, love, and pure acceptance that is there for her son Finn to draw upon when he's not getting this from his environment being around his grandmother? Are you able to work with his higher self and put that bubble around him of love?
I will ask.
Okay.
It is done.
Many thanks to his higher self. Does Zolile have the trapped emotion of rejection in her?
Yes.
Where is it being held in her body?
Her heart, her sacral.
Are you able to pull that trapped emotion of rejection for her? And then what would be something good to replace it with?
I could remove them.
Could you remove that for her and replace it, even if there's nothing better? Maybe not that it's not amazing. Creator's unconditional love and light where the rejection used to be.
Yes.
Thank you. Could you tell us what you're doing as you do it? That would be amazing.
Almost like I'm resetting it. Imagine cobwebs. Just clearing those. Make sure there's nothing left in there. All the light, love. Almost like a little seedling. A bright white seedling. Now the light is expanding. It's reset. It is clear. It's done.
Thank you for that. So, how is her life going to be different now without that trapped emotion of rejection in her?
And be vulnerable. She won't be as reserved. She's always dimming her light because she's afraid, and no one will like it.
She's dimming her
Like,
light, you said?
yes,
Okay.
but this will release all of that.
Has she gotten better at being able to be more of her authentic self?
She has, because of her son, able to bring that out.
What would she need to do or continue doing to be even more of her authentic self?
I think she's doing it right now. Just needs to keep being honest with herself so she can be honest with others. And feel comfortable in the uncomfortable.
So, why did her son choose her, or did he choose her?
He chose her.
Why did he choose her?
He saw the light in her eye. And he knew that he could get the love that she so desperately wanted. He knew it was in there. He wanted to let it out.
In her, the love in her that he could help pull it out?
Yes.
Ah,
He never thought she was capable of loving anyone.
ah. And he came just to prove her wrong?
Basically.
So he came almost like as a service to her, right?
Yes. He knew he wanted to be there at that day at the cemetery. He went to the cemetery and she was crying, talking to her brother, and she said, I need things to be different. I know something big is coming, but I don't know what. But I need it to be different. And that was the day he picked her.
What can she do to help her son have his best life possible? What can she do for him or teach him?
Patience. She's already patient now. mindful of how she responds. She, she approaches with love in any conversation at any given moment. And that is what he needs, what they all need for now. That will grow to trust.
Zolilay has a fear of success. Why? And what can you do to help her with this?
Just doesn't want anyone to really know she's successful. She wants silent success.
Like the woman in that past life that we saw?
Yes. It's too overwhelming for her. And it feels like there's this pressure to perform. So she would rather stay under the radar where she's barely noticed.
Is that okay for the life that she's chosen here? It's okay for that? Or is there something she could or should do differently?
As she works to find balance and inner peace, this is okay for her. In this life, she has to find balance between peace and chaos. She has to prioritize herself.
She also has a fear of failure. Why is this? And what advice can you give her about that?
Her fear of failure stems from the expectations that were placed on her.
By who?
Her family.
So would it benefit her to have you pull this fear of failure from her?
Yes,
Could you do that now and show her what that looks like and tell us what you're doing as you do it?
I'm clearing out her throat a little more. Reinforcing it with light. It's done.
She has a belief that life is a struggle and is a lot of hard work. Does this belief belong just to her, or is this generational?
This is generational.
Are you able to heal this belief then that life is a struggle and it requires a lot of hard work for both Zolilay and her ancestors backward and forward who would like to also receive this type of healing, including her son?
Yes.
Could you do that now and tell us what that looks like as you're doing it?
So a lot of that I already pulled earlier with her back. But what I can do is offer it to the ancestors and speak to his higher self about placing that there for him lineage. It's done.
How many of her ancestors picked up that healing, and how will it change them now that they've also received that healing?
Only you, not all of them.
How will it change her ancestors that did pick up that healing?
It'll allow them to have the ability to actually ask for help. And it'll allow them to be able to work on being present as opposed to thinking about things in the future. They won't have to worry about all of those events. They haven't even happened yet. Just focus on the now.
And so, how will it help Zolilay to now have healing from the belief that life is a struggle and involves a lot of hard work?
Takes a lot of the pressure off. She's always torn between things she wants to do and things she feels like she has to do. Which is why it cleared out a lot of her throat to be able to communicate that.
Are there any ancestors here? I invited them to be here for the session to just observe and get any healing that they also wanted for themselves. Are there any of her ancestors here observing this session?
Yes. The two grandmothers. Maternal grandmother, maternal grandmother are here.
Do they have any messages they would like to share with Zolilay?
They're both saying that they're always with her. Even though they didn't really have a relationship because they didn't even live on the same continent. They are pleased. The maternal grandmother is very quiet. She radiates love.
Is there any other healing that her ancestors would like at this time that Zolilay could offer to them through this healing session?
No,
Okay. So Zolilay no longer wants to learn lessons on Earth through suffering, trauma, and drama. She would like to learn all future lessons with joy. She'd like to place that order now, please. So how can you help her with that? And what can you do to help make this a reality while she's here on the Earth plane?
the lesson she has the lesson she has learned have been very difficult. But she requires a lot of the tough lessons because she questions her intuition all the time. So while they may be a softer way, she's able to learn those lessons. The only way that she has been thus far has been this way. But I can add those and integrate those.
Yeah, if there's anything you can do to help,
I can try.
even if it's changing in her intuition, helping her see different perspectives of situations or whatever it might be that would help her be able to face them with more joy, that would be appreciated. Are you able to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell us what you're doing as you do it?
Yes. Clearing her root chakra.
Are you still working on that?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you for that. Does she have receptors in her cells for pain, shock, trauma, and drama? And if yes, are you able to close those and give her an abundance of receptors for joy instead?
Yes.
Could you do that now, please, and tell us what that looks like as you're doing it?
Basically looks like I'm patching. And I'm in her crown. Cleared it.
I'm
Cleared
sorry.
it with the white light. It's
So
done.
it's done. Thank you. Does she have a soul contract to have another baby in this lifetime?
He can choose to.
Mm. So it's not set affirmatively yet? Is there a baby, another soul out there that wants or has chosen her to be her mother if she chooses to be a mother again?
Yes.
Okay. And so is that a baby that she would have with a partner? Is that something she would have on her own? What does that look like?
She can choose to have it with her partner, but she doesn't have to. But ideally, she would like it to be with a partner.
Does she have a soul contract to be in a relationship with a man romantically in a relationship?
Yes.
And what does that look like? Or I'm sorry, let me take that back. What can you tell her in order to prepare her? What can she do to prepare herself for that future relationship?
Just keep living her life. He will come.
Does she have a heart wall?
Yes.
What is it made out of?
Like a combination of concrete and glass. A lot there. I've cleared most of it out.
What does the glass represent?
Her fragility. Like a glass case. She doesn't want it to be penetrated. Someone break her heart.
Are you able to remove it for her?
I can try.
Could you try that and tell us what you're doing as you do it?
Okay. Concrete has many layers, and you think that you've cracked it, there's more. Okay, I removed the concrete. There's a key. There's a keyhole. It's a keyhole where the glass is. What? Okay, I've removed it. I've
Will this
removed it.
will this positively impact her ability to be more vulnerable with men and others in general now that it's been removed?
Yes, you might be a little hesitant at first, but she'll realize that's just a reflex because there's nothing there.
Will it have a positive impact on her life? I'm sorry. It will, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It will allow her to meet her soulmate.
And what kind of activity or work would be a great fit for her and bring her joy and fulfillment? What does that look like?
She needs something that'll allow her to be able to use her nurturing side. She's very nurturing.
Any idea what that might look like? Something that would really bring her joy and fulfillment?
Not sure.
Would that be working for something else or some organization, or would that be something she would do? She could find something on her own to do or build, or could it be either?
She would do best if she went on her own. She mustn't be afraid.
What are some steps she could take to getting there? Do you have any advice for her on that?
She needs to be open about who she wants to help and how. Once she's able to do that, the rest will follow.
Does Zolilay fully trust in herself, or is there healing that could occur in this regard?
Could use some healing.
Are you able to give her healing in that area with respect to trusting herself, and tell us what you're doing as you do it?
Yes. Her third eye. I'm removing. The blue and white light that's hovering over, clearing it out. Okay. Okay.
I thank you for that. Does she fully trust in the universe, or is there healing that could occur in that regard?
I think that she is trusting. Just has to learn to let go.
What do you mean, let go?
She has to trust with her whole heart, not partially trust the universe. Just to let go of what she can't control. She can't scream for the universe. The universe can do it all. She could use some help.
I'm sorry?
She could use some help.
Are you able to give her
Really.
that help and tell us what you're doing as you do it?
And try.
Okay.
Really not much that I can do.
Why is that?
I've done some clearing of her heart already. So it's only a matter of time that she'll be able to trust fully.
Hmm. Does she fully trust others, or is there healing that could occur in that regard?
She does trust others that are close to her. Not everyone. Some.
Is there any healing you could give her in that regard with regard to trusting others?
A lot of it I've already healed. I must learn to be vulnerable.
She's going to be vulnerable, you said?
Yes. And because I've cleared out most of the blockages, that shouldn't be a problem.
Hmm. Is she living her best life now, fully and completely, or is there anything that's holding her back?
She's being held back.
What is that something that's holding her back, and what can she do to live more in the now, fully and completely?
Going with the flow. There's a tendency to get very rigid and stuck when things don't go as planned. She is getting better with recognizing when she does that. Just now needs to be habit for her to go with the flow.
Hmm.
Things will happen as they should.
So would a good affirmation for her to tell herself over and over be something to the effect of everything is perfect at this moment and every moment?
Yes.
What spiritual gifts and abilities did she come to experience in this lifetime, and what can she do to develop them further?
Because her soul entered this body fairly quickly, some of the gifts were left over, which is why she experiences the dreams. That is her gift. She can have the ability for clairaudience, but she must release the fear.
How does she release the fear?
She has to remember that she's always protected. There's nothing that'll come to her that will harm her.
It's an illusion that there's anything that can harm her. Is that right?
Yes.
Did her parents impact her ability to not hear from the other side by kind of shutting that down when she was younger?
Yes.
So, what can she do to reopen that and hear from her guides and her higher self more clearly?
Has to make peace with the fact that her parents may not agree with what she's doing. That's coming out of their fear. She can't make their fear her fear. Once she's able to do that, things will slowly start to happen. She has had some experiences already.
So, what about her dreams? You mentioned that some of them were left over because she came into the body so quickly. Can you clarify exactly what you mean by that?
One of her gifts that is the strongest is her ability to communicate with others while in a dream state. Visions in a dream state, while in a dream state.
You mean those who are alive and who've crossed over to the other side, or one or the other?
Both.
Oh,
And those she has not met, and those she has met already.
I'm sorry, those she has met and not met?
Correct.
Okay. And so, what does she do in her dreams when she communicates with them? Does that benefit her or them, or what happens?
Generally, she's the observer, watching things unfold. But most times, she does interact. Her dreams have only returned in the last year. She was unable to receive the information we were sending to her. Her mind wasn't clear. Her thoughts were all over the place. She wasn't secure in herself, so we couldn't send any messages even if we wanted to. But now, she's starting.
And is there any um, leftover healing or anything that would need to take place in her would be for her best and highest good as a result of the experience she went through with the alcoholism and going through rehab? Is there anything lingering that might be able to just kind of be swept up and cleaned up, or is that pretty resolved?
That's pretty much resolved. She's realized her worth.
So why did she choose to experience that? What did she want out of that?
She thought by doing that she could avoid parts of her life, parts of her experience. She's meant she's meant to feel in this life. She's meant to feel the highs and the lows. especially the lows.
And what about any healing? Is there any healing that could be done that you could help her with as a result of her brother having committed suicide, or is that all healed and resolved in her?
That has been healed. Now that she has walked this journey, she's able to understand that it doesn't end here.
What do you mean it
There is
doesn't?
more.
Oh, okay, there's
There is
more.
more after this life. And much to experience. She will see him.
Does he have any messages he would like to share with her now?
Yes.
What is that?
It took you long enough. That is the message.
Hmm. Does that mean to get where she is now?
Yes. He still a lot when he was in his physical body.
I'm sorry, say it again.
When he was in his physical body, he made a comment to her that she always remembered. Says, you know, you don't have to seek permission for everything. You can make your own choices. So now his response, it took you long enough. He's proud.
And would she benefit at all by having her chakras balanced and upgraded by you right now? Would that be a benefit for her?
I could do some tuning
Could you
on
do
her
that?
solar plexus.
Okay. Could you do that for her now, please?
Yes. It is done
How will that tuning of her solar plexus benefit her or help her?
because she's always so rigid. This will allow for some flow and creative energy. Bring in some inspiration. She has it in her. Has these artistic abilities. Just doesn't want to fail. But it's not failure.
What is it?
It's exploration. It's truly falling in love with yourself.
What would it look like for her to truly fall in love with herself? What are some things she could do to help her truly fall in love with herself?
She is doing some of it now. Needs to laugh at herself.
Mhm.
Always be so serious. She is learning. She is learning through her child. They're teaching each other how to not be so serious.
So how did Zolilay and I actually meet? Like energetically, how did we meet, or have we known each other before?
You've known her before.
I felt like we did. So how do we know each other from before?
You weren't really best friends. You couldn't be friends, but
Why?
you wanted to be friends.
Why couldn't we be friends?
She wasn't allowed to be friends with you.
It wasn't allowed from her family or my family or both.
Partner.
I'm sorry?
Her partner.
Oh, okay. Hmm, okay. And do you
We
have
did
any?
communicate
Okay.
when he wasn't around.
Do you have any last messages or wisdom or advice you can give her before we end this session?
I just want her to keep going. Keep going. I just want her to know that she is a better version of herself now than what she was before. Going.
She takes all of the information from this session that we just did and incorporates it into her life. How will her life be different compared to what it would have been like had she not done this session?
Like catapult. He's able to take anything from today. It will catapult her into a new level of being. Whereas before, she would have been just searching, endlessly searching and feeling trapped. But today, there will be a sense of lightness and a bit of freedom. She is in control. No one else can do that for her.
Are there any other messages you or her guides would like to give her before we end this session?
Not specifically.
Are we good to end the session then?
Yes.
First impressions. You're back on camera.
What the fuck was that? I feel like I need a cookie or something.
A cookie? Here, I can give you a virtual one. I have some Oreos in the other room. That's all I have.
Oh Lord. Yep.
So, what did you think?
I felt like I could definitely feel myself trying to like get into the party.
Your
Like
conscious mind?
yeah.
Huh?
I was like, hey, like at one point I heard my, hey, what are you doing? And then I heard someone say, you need to go back. Like we're not doing this right now.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, all right. And then at one point I just like did one of these. Like I was actually getting annoyed. Can you? And I heard, beat it.
Like you guys were beating your conscious mind back.
Like beat it. Like oh my god, oh my god. Um,
So
but it,
do you remember a lot? Not a lot? What are your impressions?
I remember like some stuff like about my brother. Um, I think when I peeked in was more around my childhood.
Mm. So did you hear the part that you're a walk-in?
Yes.
See, I didn't want to put that idea in your head. So when we were in the intake, I didn't put that in your head. I didn't want that to be there and have that be like I was influencing you, but I suspected that you were probably a walk-in. But again, I didn't want to plant that seed in there and have it be,
How interesting.
yeah. So, and it's funny because about one, I don't ask it for every single session I do, but I used to just because I
Mm.
was so curious about it. And kind of the average of what I saw was about every five people, 5 to 6 people are walk-ins. It's that common from my
Wow.
experience, from the people that came to me. Not saying people who don't do hypnosis, like obviously I can't count them. These are people who were obviously on a spiritual path that would come to me, not just random strangers. But yeah, out of those, it'd be every 5 or 6 people person would be a walk-in.
But I can see
Yeah, with your family, you mean?
why
If
there
the
needed to
other
be a swap.
personality, yeah, if the other personality was a super strong personality, if the other soul, it probably wouldn't have done very well in your family, right?
No. And plus there's a lot of like funky black magic stuff, and so I'm sure like that that would not have happened. Like I probably wouldn't have survived. If that makes any sense. Like literally, somebody would have been trying to take my power, take my gifts. So, that is a real thing. Um, yeah. So even though like my mom knows that I have some gift or gifts, it's kind of like you don't want people to know that because then they'll find ways to manipulate you. So she's like very paranoid about that.
Ah, well, that's going to be where it comes in, where you learn how to spiritually and psychically protect yourself too, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to write this down at the beginning of the notes that I'm going to send you because I do recommend this. Let's see, 537. Uh, sorry, my son was calling. Okay, so recommend. It's the Boulder Psychic Institute. Classes called Self Healing 101. I don't know, it's something 102, and then there's 103. They're super inexpensive classes. They have way more than that, but these are like the bare minimum that I would recommend. Um,
Okay.
they will teach you, and they probably start like Monday. If you want to jump in right away, I'm guessing they probably have a group starting Monday or Tuesday, but it's only 4 weeks. Like 101 is 4 weeks. You'll be shocked at how much you will learn in 4 weeks. But it's one night a week and it's an hour and a half and it's on the phone. It's not even Zoom or anything. It's literally just on the phone.
Oh
And
wow.
it starts with, so it's super easy. And the first class you get to take for free. And then if you like it, then you pay for the entire course, which is $100 for 4 weeks. So it's like an
Okay.
hour and a half once a week for 4 weeks. And then once you're done with 101, you can do 102 and 103 and it's same. It's like $100. And if you take 102 and 103 together, I think they give you like a $50 discount if you do them at the same time. So um, it's really awesome for teaching you how to protect your space, how to clear your space, how to shield yourself. And then at the end in 103, they dabble a little bit and teach you how they believe everyone is psychic. And they teach you a little bit how to tap into those gifts. So, and do energy readings on anyone that anyone could do it. I mean, if I could do it, I feel like anyone could do it, right? Because I don't feel like I'm psychic. Like I said, I feel like my gift now is when I do this is clearly hearing from my higher self and my guides on giving me questions to ask.
Mm.
So there were several questions that I asked that weren't on your list, but I really felt the one popping up about balancing chakras. And it turns out I think it was your solar plexus that needed a little bit of work. I just really was really feeling that. And so just being able to be in tune with that, but not necessarily a psychic where I can look at you and
Right.
read your mail and tell you everything. But if I follow the steps they taught me, I can for sure do an energy reading on you. But that's not my gift or my specialty, right? I can do it, but it's more forced and it's more
Mm.
than natural. But anyway, it's really, really good classes as far as the basics. So I highly recommend
Okay.
it for the basics. And then if you continue on, they have an undergraduate program and then a graduate that are, super easy, but the teaching in them is phenomenal, phenomenal teaching. Like you will learn tons about spirituality. It's amazing.
So
So anyway,
awesome.
I put that on here as like a recommended. You can do it or not do it. Doesn't matter. Take what you want, leave what you don't want. Um, but yeah, that was really interesting about the past life that you had. You picked that last life for you to see because in this life you've been worried about being alone and that no one would love her. She needs to learn that inner peace is where the love and happiness is. That other woman found that by being with herself and connecting by foraging, which made her relationship with God that much closer. She didn't need another human to fulfill that need, that love. She loved God and loved herself the way God loves her. We all have that love inside of us that can fulfill us. That was an actual life that you lived in the past. It wasn't an imprint. I wanted to make sure it was an actual life that you had lived. Sometimes we have past lives and we think they're ours and they're not. They're actually just imprints that were given to us when we came down here from the Akashic records to give us whatever
Mm.
background we needed to cope with whatever life we were going into. But so that's why I just asked, was that actually her life or was that an imprinted life? And so it was an actual life that you lived. And then her back, there's a lot of issues from carrying the burden of others. A comment, it it wouldn't surprise me too, because it sounds like you carried a lot of burden. You tried to carry a lot of burden for your brother before he committed suicide, right?
Mm-hmm.
A combination of all of these lives, all past lives and this life. But in this lifetime, you've carried a lot. So it's gotten a lot worse. So it's compounded. Your higher self healed this, lightened the burden for you. And your higher self, gave the description of going in through her spine, actually in between, especially her lower back. I'm just pulling it out. They look like long pieces of very thick string that I'm pulling out, and I'm healing it and sealing it with light, white light. I'm focusing more on her lower back. That's where the burdens are. That was cool, huh?
That makes sense.
And then I asked, is that kind of true for like most people, back pain? Because that was my thinking, is that back pain is like a burden, carrying burdens, carrying loads, right? And it said most of the time, people's back issues are from burdens they're carrying and not making peace with the fact that you cannot carry everyone's burdens and cannot carry their load. People can set boundaries so as not to carry other people's burdens. They can talk to their spirit team, and it's as simple as that, just asking for healing. And that's like my session yesterday. The woman, her higher self kept repeating, saying, it literally is just asking us to heal, right? And it's like that for everything going on in someone's body. Just ask for the healing. So
I just love to overcomplicate my life, apparently.
don't we all? Don't we all? So, like I have this new saying. I found it on a coffee mug when I was in Colorado a few weeks ago, right? And I loved it. But, and so I adopted it as my new saying when someone tries to tell me something that's going on with someone else's life or even their little dramas or whatever. I'm like, you know what that sounds like? Not my problem.
That's good.
Right?
That's so good.
I don't need to take that on me. That
No,
sounds like not my problem.
not my problem at all.
Right. And so like I had a girlfriend who, just a quick example is I had a girlfriend who was like freaking out and going through this emergency of where was she going to live and blah blah blah. So I told her she could come and stay with me for a while, and she was so grateful, but then she kept pressuring me like to move in before I told her she could, when I had back-to-back sessions and we were going to be out of town for a soccer tournament in Florida for a week, and I wasn't here. I just couldn't make I had to move rooms around in my house, move my kids around in rooms to give her the
Right.
biggest room because she's an adult and I wanted her to have the biggest room, right? And so I just was like, she was pressuring me and pressuring me and pressuring me. And I was just like feeling like I was going crazy, and it was just like really badly affecting me. And my guides were like, NMP, that is your new mantra, not my problem,
Problem. Yeah.
right? They were like, it's not my problem. Her emergency is not your emergency. She created this situation for herself. You clearly communicated with her the date that you'd have the room available. And for you to take on that stress, because I was like tight and I was just like going crazy, and I was just like
Yes.
really just stressing about, she was just like throwing all this stress on me, constantly texting me and calling me like, I really need to get over. Oh, I don't have any time because I didn't take any time off work and I need to do it on my breaks. And my guides were like, NMP. They kept
It's
screaming into
true.
my head, not my problem. She's the one who chose not to take any time off of work. That was her choice,
Right.
not your problem. So I've really lived with that since. It was a good lesson, right? So it
That's
was a
the
good lesson.
best.
Yeah, it was a good lesson. NMP, not my problem. So that's why I loved that mug when I saw it. You know what that sounds like? Not my problem. I love that. But it does. It takes a lot of stress off you when you look at things like that. It's like, okay, here's my world and here's what's going on with me. And someone else comes over, like imagine it's your sandbox, right? Here's my sandbox and I live in my own little sandbox, right? I have all my toys, I have it decorated the way I want. And somebody like comes barging in your sandbox, like barging through the door, and is just like, oh my God, whatever. And it's just like, wait a minute. They just came in my sandbox. This is not my issue or my emergency, and they barged in here trying to make it mine. Like, here, I'm going to dump all my toys in your sandbox, I'm going to dump all these issues in here because then it will lighten mine and mine will feel better and mine will look better. It's like they're taking all this yucky, dirty, nasty sand that a cat went to the bathroom in their litter box or something, right? And their sandbox, and they're bringing it all and trying to dump it in yours, thinking it's going to make them feel better. And they want you to help them figure it out. And it's like, wait, this isn't part of my sandbox. I don't have, this isn't my burden. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like, it's not my burden. It's not my problem. I can choose to help them from a detached standpoint. Not saying you can't have empathy or compassion. Of course you can, but very detached. Like, this isn't my problem. It's not my burden. I'm not going to carry it on my back. That's not going to be a monkey on my back, right?
Yeah.
I can help you brainstorm. Like, how do you want to figure this out? You've obviously created this situation for yourself. You know what I mean? So, do you want ideas on how you can fix it? Or are you just here to just kind of dump on me? Because the only time we can ever even help anyone is if they're really truly wanting help, right?
Very
Because if
true.
you just come to dump, it's just like, I'm not here to be your dumping ground. Like, you're not going to take that sand that the cat peed in your sandbox and come and dump it in mine, right?
Well, that's
Like,
the
we're not going to do
thing. I always assume that like everybody needs my help, and it's just come to a point now. Like there's I don't want to call her a girl, but I'll call her a woman because she's legally allowed to be married. So
that. Okay.
she's married, and her husband, she just got married, and there's something about her when I met her. Like I felt like we could be friends. You know, you just see someone, you're like, yeah, we're gonna be friends.
Yeah.
And then she just started talking about her relationship and how like crappy it is, and I'm like, nope. And it was one of those where I was super aware that I one of two ways. My old self, which is let me just try and like be available and allow her to put her cat piss sand in my box,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or just, wow, I'm sorry that happened to you. And is there anything that I can do to help? That's it. That's as far as I can take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because until people really, like I tell people all the time, the only time we can ever, there's two ways we can help people or teach people. One is just purely example by how we live our lives, right? And that's a huge teacher for anyone who's open and ready to change or learn, right? They can just look at us and go, how can she have so much peace? How come she seems to like everything good seems to happen to her? She like learns everything through joy instead of pain and suffering or whatever it is, right? And they want that, right? And then it's if they truly come to us and ask, because I've totally given up. I learned in this journey to not give anyone advice unless they ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't ask me, they're really not interested and they won't listen and they won't take it. So why would I waste my energy and my brain power?
That's true.
And
That's so
right?
true. Yes.
I have no reason to judge them. I just look at them and go, well, that's an experience, right? Well, that's an experience. Gee, well, that's fun to create. Why do you think you created that? You know? Really just kind of unattached because I don't need to be. It's not my burden. It's not my
Right.
lesson. It's not my life. It's not my journey, you
It's
know,
true.
right? It's none of my business.
Sometimes I have to go a little extreme because I will fight myself. And it's like, do you want to end up on an episode of Snapped? No. Keep it moving,
Right.
please. Investigation ID? No. Keep it moving, please. So then
Right.
I just, I'm
Right.
very dramatic, but it's the only way I can convince myself to not get so attached.
Well, right, and like I said, the whole sandbox thing, if you just picture it, like it's got walls around and everything, like, but it's our playground. We can do
Yeah.
whatever we want in there, and we don't have to let anybody in. That's boundaries too. We don't have to let anybody in that we don't want to let in. And if they're not going to come in and play by our rules and be nice and treat us with respect and treat our toys with respect and play nice, then we have every right to ask them to leave. And whether they get offended is on that. That's not on us. It's
Yeah.
like you don't just go into someone's house and just start wrecking their furniture and stuff. Like it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're coming into my space. You need to respect me and be nice to me and treat me with love and respect. And I will treat you the same way. But if you're not going to, then, we can't play in the same sandbox. You have to go back to your own. And you can do whatever you want in yours. I don't care. It's none of my business. But in here, my boundaries are this, right?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So I hope you liked it.
I did. I really enjoyed it. It was it was different. It was an experience for sure. And I think at some point I was like, is this really going to work? My heart was pounding in the beginning. Pounding. I'm like, you gotta let go. Let go. Let her come in. Just let go. I'm like, but my heart. And then there's something you said. And all of a sudden I could literally feel my heart go. And then it was just before you sent me to the cloud, I felt like I was about to go into a cloud. And then when you described sort of like, because I got to the cloud and I felt awkward. I was like, I'm in the cloud. I'm in the cloud. Am I going to fall? And then you said, you're not going to fall through the cloud.
Right, right. Get away from the edge of the cloud. We're going to run on the cloud to get you relaxed. Right.
Like go inside. And as soon as I wrapped myself, I was good.
Wrap yourself in the cloud and snuggle down into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were like prepping me for the landing. And then I felt myself just sort of like battling. Maybe you're imagining this. Maybe you're not. Is this really happening? I'm like, shut up. Like, that's what's happening in my head. And then all of a sudden, it was quiet. And then I heard you, but I didn't hear you. Like, I took a back seat.
Yeah. Which is good because there are some people, and that's why I try to vet people so carefully before we do these sessions. There are some people, occasional sessions where people can't. They just don't let go. Their conscious mind just won't. Like you had that battle and you just described like what it can be like in other people. It's just like they won't. They don't go to that space. And it's like, I don't know, like I can't, I'm not in your head. I can't, I'm doing everything on my end.
Yeah,
And so it does work for people who really know how to put their conscious mind aside and let their genuine, authentic self come through, right? Um,
definitely.
so I like what your higher self said at the very end. What was it? And I felt like you and I had known each other before. So that's why I asked that question. I was like, I swear I've known her before. I swear we have. So yeah, it turns out we did. But where was I looking? Oh, after having this session, it's going to catapult you into a new level of being. Whereas before she would have just been endlessly searching and feeling trapped. But today it will be a sense of lightness and a bit of freedom. She is in control. No one else can do that for her.
Okay, then.
Yeah, that's what,
Thanks, higher self.
if you take all this information, right, right, right. Any last messages? We just want her to keep going. Keep going. I just want her to know that she is a better version of herself now than she was before. Keep going. Like you're doing amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to end this video recording. Thank you for sharing it on YouTube. I actually have friends coming over to make s'mores with their kids tonight,
Oh,
and we're going
how
to watch
fun.
an outdoor movie. So I won't be able to get it on YouTube tonight. And I'm hiking all day in the mountains tomorrow, but
No
maybe Monday
stress.
I can find time. Right.
No
But
stress.
it'll get out there. But I am going to download the video tonight and I will send it to you at some point tonight along with all these notes. You'll get it.
Okay.
And then a link to leave a review if you want to leave a review. You don't have to do that right away, but that would be amazing just so people who are like me, who read all the reviews on Amazon to make sure something's good before they buy it,
Yes, of
can read
course.
a review. So I'll go ahead and end this and thanks for sharing it on social media. And I'm going to end the recording now.
Cool.